All right, so yesterday we focused on the four things that can cause the biggest problems in our marriages and relationships. And today, I want to focus on one of those things. You remember we talked about unmet needs, specifically unmet emotional needs. Well, today I'm going to teach you one big thing, just one thing, which if you and your spouse or your significant other do it, it will change the air you're breathing around your marriage. All right, so what is it? What is it? Well, sit tight for just a moment. I want to walk you through a couple of thoughts. You ever had somebody just compliment you or someone really tell you how important you are to them, how much they value you? And I'm talking about they said it and they really meant it and they followed up on it. They did it and it was consistent with what they said. Hey, you're so important. Can you recall that sense of value and worth that you felt almost instantly? And that only happens when it is absolutely true, when there's no contradiction between what they said and what they do, right? When there's credibility there. Well, what happens then is what you want to see happen in your marriage relationship or in your love relationship. This is so important to get this. We miss out on how significant, how important the emotional side of our lives is, um, how intricately woven into the fabric of our being our emotions are. And so, in the Western world and our society in particular, we have focused on the intellect, on rationale, on getting good grades, on knowing the information, on being able to regurgitate it for a test. And so we focused on smarts. And there are a lot of us who are smart, smart people, at least you are. Um, a lot of people who are smart and who can process information well, but not everyone is smart emotionally. And I don't mean that to demean anyone. I'm just saying we've not been taught how to really pay attention to and zero in on the importance of emotions in our relationships. When I was 9 years old, I came across a book in the library in my elementary school. I was in the fourth grade, but I was taken back by the title of it. And it actually set me on a journey of exploration. I've literally been studying relationships since I was a kid, just watching relationships around me. But this book spoke to me. It said, kids have feelings too. I took that book home and shared it with the adults in the house, and they were like, boy, go somewhere and sit down. Get out of here. Grown people are talking. We don't want to get out of bye. Get out of here. I was like, wow. I said, maybe my emotions aren't important. But that never left me. And it sent me on a journey of studying emotions as it relates to our individual lives and our relationship lives. Get back to my point, right? So we focus on these parts of us that are different from our emotions. We tend to focus on the intellectual side. And so you might be married to somebody who is very smart. You might be very smart, very accomplished. My clients tend to be people who are high performers, top performers in professional sports and business and entertainment, but they are dealing with a lot of relationship stress. And you might be among those people. And what they're missing is this vital piece, this tongue twister, this vital part to the puzzle, right? So it's not our smarts that's missing. That's not the missing piece. It's not that we're not capable of regurgitating information. It's not that we don't even understand how marriage or relationships are supposed to work. Now, I know how it's supposed to go. In fact, I had one client couple tell me, hey, we're very smart. One of them is a high powered corporate coach, the other is a brilliant professor of engineering at one of the most prestigious schools in the country. I said, but we couldn't figure this out. We found ourselves clashing and arguing and breaking down and crying and wanting to leave and then getting back together and going through the cycle all over again. They said, we are exhausted. And they reached out to me to talk about marriage coaching. And they answered a big question that I've always asked, but now I know the answer. What's missing? Well, what's missing is they were overlooking the other person's deepest emotional need. We all have a deep emotional need. There are probably multiples of them for all of us, but we all have one very significant one, which, if we pay attention to that, and if we nurture, care about the one in our spouse or significant other, I don't know what your relationship story is, it will change the air. It'll purify the air in your relationship. I'm telling you, I've seen this happen time and time and time again. So, what I want to teach you today, this one principle, is how to actually begin to nurture and care about the other person's deepest emotional need. How do we do that? How do we do that? Well, we've sort of packaged it in a mantra, in a saying, and it helps us to begin to then do the practice and to do it regularly and consistently. Now, nobody's going to be perfect at this. I'm not perfect at this. Sherry's not perfect at it. And we've noticed a pattern when we are consistent with it. When we're consistent with this, our marriage hums along. When we languish or we grow inconsistent with this mantra, this practice, things get a little tense and touchy, and we're like, what's going on? And we can almost always point back to this particular thing as what we need to remember. All right, so here's a mantra, um, and I want you to repeat it to yourself. It's great if you repeat it with one another. It's great if you can just get this way down inside of you. It's a powerful mantra. I want you to say it 100 times before you go to bed tonight. All right, you ready for it? My need is not more important than your need, and your need is equally as important as mine. Try that. My need, my emotional need, is not more important than your need, and your emotional need is equally important to mine. You see what that does? Immediately, it elevates each other's emotional need to a level of respect and priority. And it's not a one up, one down. It is both our need or needs are important. They're valuable. They're to be treasured, to be deeply respected, to honor it. I know what Sherry needs more than anything in this marriage. She needs to feel emotionally safe. She needs that. It's not like a luxury. It's not like something she just pulled off the shelf and said, hey, can I have this? No. I need to feel affirmed. That's just what I need. Given my background, how I was raised, all of the parts, words of affirmation from my wife means the world to me. So you can say, well, why you got to have that? Why does she need that? Well, hey, that's what we need. And I want to encourage you to focus on what you need and what your spouse or significant other needs, because the need is not, as I said earlier, a luxury. It is a need. And anyone who goes without what they need, like water, like oxygen, like food, like love, will struggle. But if we can get the thing we need, we flourish, we move along in life beautifully. And so that's the one thing that I want you to work on. Say that to yourself. My emotional need is not important, not more important than my spouse's emotional need. And their emotional need is not less significant than my emotional need. And so we want to make that emotional need valuable, respected for each other. I want you to say that, and then I want you to practice it. I want you to act like it. Whatever you know that your spouse needs, try to feed that today, feed that tomorrow, Feed that the next day. Feed it a little bit each day. As you do that one thing, you're going to discover that you're becoming much more emotionally connected to one another. Arguments aren't as deep, they're not as protracted. Communication becomes easier. We should work on communication soon. Got something up my sleeve. Yeah. And we're going to help you really build the dream marriage. All right. Hey, I'm glad you were here today. Look for some more tomorrow. I got some stories I want to share with you from some people I've worked with who can tell you that when they do some of these things, it makes a huge, huge difference. All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Be well. Have a great rest of you.